Being productive while working from home is possible, and in this episode, I will share several strategies for how to make that happen. I'm Mark, and this is the Mr. Productivity Podcast, the podcast that's all about solopreneur productivity, simplified and delivered weekly in bite-sized 30-minute or less episodes. Now, before we dive into the heart of the episode, I have something special to share with you. Every month, I host a live masterclass aimed at helping you increase your productivity as a solopreneur. Now, we've covered a wide range of topics so far, everything from gaining clarity in your work to effective daily habits, decluttering your workspace, maintaining health and wellness, and mastering time management, and we're just getting started. So if you're looking to ramp up your productivity and achieve more as a solopreneur, these masterclasses are a treasure trove of insights and practical tools. So head on over to MrProductivity.com/masterclass, and Mr. is all spelled out, MISTER, MrProductivity.com/masterclass, and sign up for the next live masterclass. Learn from these interactive sessions, engage with a like-minded community, and transform the way you work. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to MrProductivity.com/masterclass and sign up right now. Okay, let's get started with how to set yourself up to having a productive workspace while working from home. Now, the number one rule, the number one strategy, the number one tactic I have for you is to have a dedicated workspace. This is all about boundaries, both for you and anyone else that is around this workspace. Now, what are some examples of things or places that you can use for a dedicated workspace? Well, you can take a spare bedroom that maybe no one's living there anymore. Maybe your kids have grown and left the nest. Well, you can convert that into your home office. A lot of solopreneurs do that. Another idea is take a spare bedroom that maybe one of your kids uses, but they're at school during the day. You can convert a section of their room as your office. You can use the kitchen table, but you have to be very careful with using the kitchen table because most people have a lot of things on their kitchen table. I like working at my kitchen table because it overlooks the street, a lot of windows in my kitchen. It works for me. This may not work for you, but if you're going to use your kitchen table as a dedicated workspace, I want you to make it your dedicated workspace, not your workspace and other things. Make sense? You can use your back or your front porch if you live in a quiet neighborhood. Maybe you live on a double cul-de-sac where my wife and I live, not a lot of traffic. We can get away with this, although I am not going out on my front or back porch in the heat of the Houston summer. That's just not going to happen. Now, if you have a smaller place, maybe you have an apartment, a studio apartment, whatever, you can use a section of a room that you tape off as your office. So maybe you get a little desk, a little chair, you have your computer set up there, your phone, and you get some masking tape and you put it on the floor. This is, again, to establish a boundary. You tell people, when I'm in this area, I am working. It's all about boundaries. Other ideas for a dedicated workspace: a library and a local park. Not recommended if you are going to be on calls. Now, going along with a dedicated workspace, you need to establish office hours. You need to know when you're on the clock and when you're not. Just because you're working from home doesn't mean you're on the clock 24/7, 365. Now, when you create these office hours, make them realistic. So, for example, my office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I know that's cliche, but that's my office hours. So before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m., I'm off the clock. I'm spending time with my wife. So make your office hours realistic and appropriate for your situation. My wife and I, we're empty nesters. We have 2 dogs. That's all we have. You may have kiddos you have to pick up from daycare or school. You need office hours, but they need to be appropriate for you. Now, post these office hours. Now, this is not just for other people in your house. This is for your customers, and not that you're going to have customers coming to your house, but it's for your customers so they know here are the boundaries. This is when I'm on the clock. But it's also for you. So you know, hey, it's work time. Hey, it's family time. Now, when you create office hours, don't forget to factor in times for meals. You're going to have to eat. Please eat. Micro breaks, which wouldn't go on your office hour schedule, but you need to keep this in the back of your mind. And maybe you just want to take time off because one of the benefits of being a solopreneur is you can just take time off because if you're not dealing with a client or having an interview, you can take time off just because. Now, when you have these office hours, especially if you have other people in the home with you, make sure you have a plan for emergencies. I don't mean if your house catches on fire or a satellite crashes into your house. I mean, when can people disturb you when you are in your dedicated workspace? Don't assume that their definition of an emergency is the same as yours. Define it and make sure they are clear on it. Now, set yourself up for productive success is another strategy for when you're working from home. What do I mean by this? Eliminate as many distractions as possible. And I'm going to go over this in 2 steps. Now, I am not a fan of zero notifications. I think some notifications are important. These people will say, I have my phone on do not disturb all day or on focus mode all day. Really? You don't want to know if there's a tornado coming your way? You don't want to know if your father passed away or your kid got sick at school? I'm not a fan of zero notifications. I'm a fan of intentional notifications, translation notifications that serve me. I'll talk more about notifications in just a moment. Also, when you eliminate as many distractions as possible, think about the sounds that you can control. The TV. If you're working, the TV shouldn't be on, or the radio. Maybe some instrumental music, or if you're working on some admin work, you can listen to music with words, but very important. How about your dogs? Now, we have 2 dogs at the house. When I'm recording a podcast, I'm blocking off the area to the kitchen because I don't want them going in there, seeing their little doggy friends and having a conversation. Dogs, if you're going to record a podcast, you're going to go on someone else's podcast, you're going to go on some live training. Don't let your dogs out in the backyard if you know they're going to bark at the squirrels and the dogs and the birds. Also, appliances. Now, if I'm doing admin work or if I'm just doing like content creation, I may run the washer or dryer or run the dishwasher. But if I want to focus, that stuff is off. And then people talking inside your house. If you have people in your house and you're doing a live training call or podcast interview, you may have the power, especially if you're the mom or the dad, to control that. Hey, I'm doing this now. I don't want to hear a peep out of you. Now, let's talk about the distractions and sound that you can't control. They're out of your control. What you need to do here is you need to mitigate these distractions. Okay, planes, helicopters, delivery vehicles, the weather. I'm thinking windstorms, thunderstorms, that kind of thing, and people talking outside your house. You really can't go out to your neighbor and say, hey, would you please shut up? I'm trying to work here. That probably won't end well. All right. So again, distractions that you can control and distractions you can only mitigate. Now, how do you mitigate the ones out of your control? Well, you can shut your windows. You can put on noise canceling headphones. You can put some music on. Or if it's really too loud, and we'll get to this in just a few minutes, maybe you don't do your tough work at that time. If you have an iPhone, there's something called focus mode. Maybe your phone, if you don't have an iPhone, has something similar. Focus mode is like do not disturb, only it's customizable. Do not disturb is nothing gets through. Or focus mode allows you to say, okay, I don't want to be disturbed during these times, but I want these people to be able to get through. I want these apps to be able to get through. So I currently use 2 focus modes. I use sleep mode from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. So I sleep from 9 to 5. But at 8 p.m., my phone and watch and everything goes into sleep mode, which means no more notifications from anybody. Because the only person that really needs to get a hold of me, I live with her. So she doesn't need to text me. Now, during the day, I have my work focus mode, which is 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I have decided these 5 or 6 people who are not annoying, they don't text me all the time, these people can get through. And these apps, like the weather app and my calendar app, those can send me notifications. And the thing I like about the focus mode is I get to pick and choose what I want to come through. Another idea, consider disabling vibration mode. I've had my vibration mode disabled on my iPhone for years. There's an option on the iPhone. I don't know if other phones have this option. They probably do. It's probably a standard feature now. And that's silence unknown callers. Now, if you're using focus mode, like I have work focus mode on, I don't need to have silence unknown callers because the work focus mode, I have the phone disabled as a notification. So if you are one of those 5 or 6 people that can get through, the phone will ring. If not, it goes to voicemail. But if you don't have this feature, see if you have the feature of silence unknown callers. Consider muting your phone. Or maybe, in extreme cases, you use airplane mode. Finally, I want you to consider not scheduling stuff, tasks, projects, whatever, when you're expecting deliveries or if there will be other distractions. Consider garbage or heavy trash pickup. I don't know about where you live, but here those trucks make a lot of noise, so I know they're going to be here in this couple hours every Monday. I don't schedule anything important during that time because I don't know exactly when they're going to come. How about construction? Not only your city, your town, or your village, maybe they're working on a water main break or they're jackhammering your street because they're going to repave it, or maybe your neighbor is getting their roof replaced. Have you ever heard someone have their roof replaced? Knack, 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 whatever the sound that gun makes and they're pounding things. Yeah, don't do your critical stuff during this time because you're not going to be able to focus. Another tip is to always have what you need and only what you need for whatever task or project you're working on. So if you're creating a blog post, maybe you just need your laptop and maybe a little soft instrumental music and some water. Don't have anything else on your desk. It's only going to cause you to lose focus. And finally, practice patience. This is something I am struggling with. When I'm trying to work on something and the neighbor's dog is barking or there's a lot of deliveries, I get, I got to remember to take a breath. Calm down. It's not the end of the world. So I'm not saying I have this all figured out, but make sure you are practicing to use your patience muscle. So I hope this episode today brought you tremendous value. If it did, would you please do me a huge favor? Would you share this episode with 2 or 3 of your friends? If you got value out of it, you probably have a couple friends that could use this information as well. And don't forget, if you want to find out anything about me, head on over to my website, MrProductivity.com, M-I-S-T-E-R, MrProductivity.com. There you can click on the menu for the live masterclass, read my blog. You can find out about my coaching, anything you want to know about me, the host of the show, Mr. Productivity, is at MrProductivity.com. Thank you so much for your time and attention for listening to this episode of the Mr. Productivity Podcast. I'll be back real soon with a brand new episode. But until then, remember, stay productive and stay positive.